Hello folks, my name is George Myhall, and this is going to be another film produced here at the Office of Image Archaeology. This is actually based on 8mm film from 1964 and some still photographs that were taken earlier. I've got in my library stuff I've collected over the years. I'll put it together into a little production for you. First I want to say, hey, happy 2023. I'm hoping that it's a whole lot better than 2021 or 22, and this world is not the same one I grew up in, and I tell you, it's scaring the hell out of me. This is got some strange ducks down there in Washington, D.C. They're letting a lot of bad stuff happen. They're promoting a lot of it. We have open borders, it seems like. The country's being invaded. We're being attacked by our own government, and now we're being attacked by the weather, it seems like. I really feel sorry for you folks out there that are dealing with the freezing weather and the snow and the rain and the blizzards and the windstorms and hurricanes and cyclones and God knows what. It's been really, really bad for a lot of folks recently. But here in California, we've been under drought conditions for quite a while, and I'm one of those guys that really, I want it to rain and snow in the mountains and flow down here where I can use it, because I'm bald. I don't like to be rained on. But I gotta say, right now I'm just happy to get the rain, so I got a hat I can put on, no problem. Other than that, hey, listen, I hope you enjoy the film, and if you do, put a like on that thing and share it with others. I appreciate it. Okay, yeah, that's it. Thanks. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the film used in this video was produced in 1964 on 8mm film. I will also be using a few still photographs from my own library for reference. We'll be looking at downtown Los Angeles, more specifically the areas around City Hall and the lost neighborhood of Bunker Hill. Originally developed in 1867, its elevation was just over 360 feet. The original neighborhood of Bunker Hill was quite a desirable piece of land, giving residents a bird's-eye view of the rapidly sprawling city below. New streets were drawn and named, and one of them being South Bunker Hill Avenue. Those streets, along with the lavish Victorian homes that sprung up on them in the ensuing years, were home to many wealthy and notable residents of the era. Over time, as with most well-used neighborhoods, Bunker Hill became less desirable and property values dropped, inviting lower-income residents. Today, all evidence of this neighborhood is gone, having been replaced by the typical concrete and steel cancer that tends to replace most of the former charming neighborhoods and downtown areas of most cities in America. This signpost marking the intersection of South Bunker Hill Avenue and West 2nd Street is only a memory for the elderly. Today, South Bunker Hill Avenue and its namesake neighborhood no longer exists. With this fairly current Google Earth satellite view, and by the way, I use Google Earth a lot in my videos for reference, so thank you, Google Earth. Here is West 2nd Street before it goes into the tunnel, and I believe where it originally intersected with Bunker Hill Avenue, the location where this film was shot. While researching this project, I found another film with this apartment building in it, but the sign was not there. The sign reads something apartments, newly decorated, $50 per month and up. I am not sure what building is being demolished here. It looks like it might be at the foot of Bunker Hill, but through the heavy blanket of smog can be seen the signature silhouette of Los Angeles' City Hall in the distance. While these buildings, I believe, are in the same area, I wasn't able to identify them using the internet. So please, if you do recognize any of them, let me know in the comment section of this video, and I will add it to and credit you in the description. Here is a close-up of City Hall and some of the other buildings that surround it. I had some old postcards of these buildings and used them to help give the viewer some idea of how old these iconic Los Angeles structures are and what the surrounding area looked like in the past. I believe this part of the film was shot from inside City Hall, and the first building we see here is just northeast of City Hall. This is the Federal Building and is labeled by the postcard that follows as the New Post Office and Federal Building. Across the street at the corner of Spring and Temple sits the Hall of Justice. In the postcard I use here is a view of the same building, but was recorded in the late 1920s or 30s when the Pacific Electric Railway ran down Spring Street. Also in the postcard is a view of the first Los Angeles County Courthouse built in 1891. If, like me, you were a little dismayed that the old red sandstone courthouse on Spring Street had to be razed because of earthquake damage, you might be more than disappointed to learn that this beautiful building, built in 1912, as the Los Angeles Hall of Records, was razed because it was facing the wrong direction. The building sat at an odd angle in relation to the adjacent streets, something that was perplexing to city planners as the new Civic Center was built. It became a victim of the wrecking ball in 1973. The streets were straightened and a new park now occupies most of the area where the Hall of Records once stood. The last building I'll cover in this group surrounding City Hall is the 1935 Los Angeles Times newspaper building. Although it was built later than the recognized Art Deco period of 1920 to 1930, I believe this is a premier example of that style, and I'm grateful that it is still standing given the track record of LA city planners of the past. This last postcard is a bird's eye view of the area that we've just been looking at, with City Hall in the center, and Post Office and Federal Building, and the Hall of Justice, and the Hall of Records, and finally the LA Times building. Let's just give you an idea where all those buildings were located. Now we will change it up just a little bit with a short ride down Hollywood Boulevard, then over to Sunset past the Cinerama Dome. The billboard identifies the movie playing on the day this film was shot as my favorite all-time comedy. It's a mad, 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 mad world. And boy, is it ever. I've seen this movie at least 12 times since 1964. As a kid, I never enjoyed a movie as much as this one. As an adult, I still crack up every time I see it. First opened in 1963, the theater is closed at the moment, but has plans to reopen with the new name, Cinerama Hollywood, sporting 2 bars and a restaurant. It'd be kind of neat to go there. Here we are again on Hollywood Boulevard with Grauman's Chinese Theater playing the Carpetbaggers. Still further down the road and on the lower left side of the screen is Toff's Coffee Shop, and in the background is the First Federal Bank. And again, still on Hollywood Boulevard. Today, at the 6600 address is Hollywood Toys and Costumes, but prior to the 1990s, it was the famed J.J. Newberry's. The last part of this video is about the Angel's Flight Funicular Railroad. By the way, if, like me, you have no idea what funicular means, suffice it to say that, like Angel's Flight, the cable cars in San Francisco are also part of a funicular railroad, meaning that they are cable-driven up a steep slope. Now, that's out of the way. The Angel's Flight Railroad has been opened and closed, dismantled and remodeled many times since its first construction in 1902. The latest dismantling took place in 1969. Reconstruction was slow in coming, but 27 years later, in 1996, the railroad was moved, remodeled, and put back into service. Now little more than a tourist attraction, this little railroad once served the community of Bunker Hill to get folks up the steep grade without suffering a heart attack. Horse and buggy or walking uphill were your only choices in 1902. I am not sure of its original location when first built, but in 1969 Angel's Flight ran parallel with the West 3rd Street tunnel from South Hill to South Olive Streets, its downhill station being right next to the tunnel entrance at South Hill Street. The tramway was rebuilt in 1996. When it was reopened, it no longer ran to Olive Street, but made its uphill connection at California Plaza, which has a South Grand Avenue address. It was also moved to a point about halfway between West 3rd and 4th Streets. In this film, we can see that the lower station is still next to the West 3rd Street tunnel. Well, that's over. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and something new that you didn't know. If you've been around for a long time, you might recognize some of the stuff in this film. If not, then it's kind of interesting to find out what your town used to look like. And we all go to Los Angeles. We're all going to go there eventually, it seems like, at least most of us. And those that won't probably wish they could. I don't know. But this is what it looked like back then, and kind of gave you an idea about the changes that has happened. Meanwhile, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.